Thanks for staying with us. We're at Premier Farm and Home. We're joined by our good friend Chad, who, Chad, it's been a little while since I've seen you.
I know. How you doing, Brian? It's great to see you.
First of all, if you haven't done your yard yet, come out to Premier Farm and Home. Come and see them. They've got plenty of grass seed, fertilizer, and everything you need.
Absolutely.
Get your yard looking great for coming into spring. So besides that, let's start winterizing our horses.
Okay.
So I know our diet's going to change a little bit.
That's true. Yep.
So
one of the things to consider is whether your horses are going to be stalled or if they're going to be out in the open. And another thing to consider is, if the horse grew up in Kansas and has always been in Kansas or this area, they're going to probably grow a winter coat. But if you maybe imported one from back east or California or something like that, just be watching them, make sure they develop that coat properly and that we're getting ready to go. And then also to get your plans together for winter. So we want to make sure that we know what ration we're going to feed. We also want to kind of see what condition those animals would be in. So we want them to have a nice, a good body score condition to where they're healthy, maybe even a little overweight or a little heavy by 50 pounds or so going into winter. So if that cold shiver comes through and they end up shivering off some weight, we're not trying to put it back on or put in a big deficit going into spring.
Well, not only is feed important, water is very important.
Water is extremely important. So one thing to consider with water is the horses will not drink less just because it's cold outside. They're going to drink the same amount. So we want to make sure that that horse is drinking an appropriate amount of water and that's not freezing up too fast. They're able to drink it. So another good thing to do is to check your heaters, make sure your heaters are working, have a backup plan. If that heater doesn't work, maybe even carry an extra or spare around.
It never fails. It'll be 90 degrees one day, and then we could have 4 inches of snow the next day. Putting it off, thinking you can put it off till the first freeze hits or the first snow hits, because once it turns cold, there's a chance it's just going to go cold.
Right, and it can catch you by surprise. So a lot of times, I'm not going to say I haven't done that. I've gone out there and, oh no, it doesn't work. And so having spares of things around and on hand, so you're not having to go fight the crowd or fight the weather to get in and get supplies. Make sure you have all that prepared and on hand.
Body condition score, you brought that up.
Yeah.
We probably print that off online, and rate it honestly.
Correct. Yeah, that's the other thing. It does you no good. It does your horse no good to kind of fib and put it, at a 6 when it's really a 5 or whatever. So just go ahead and honestly fill that out. They certainly have body condition guideline scores. Purina Mill's website has an excellent one that you can do. You can also find some through Extension, these body scoring guides. And all they're doing is telling the general condition of the horse, and then you can look at it and then rate it so you know whether you're losing weight, gaining weight, where you at.
Perfect. Hay, extremely important also this time of the year.
Right, so your hay, especially in the wintertime, we have to remember that hay won't have all the vitamins that you originally had in that grass. So make sure that your supplements are there, or your feed that you're going to use, and that you have a plan for that as well. So.
Perfect. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about cattle. You're watching kansasAGreport. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail. Keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're out of Premier Farm and Home. We're talking to Chad about winterizing your cattle and your horses. In the first segment, we talked about horses. Same kind of scenario for cattle. Generally, you're not going to stall cattle, but they're going to be out in the open, so body condition scores also going to be important.
Yeah, it's an excellent place to start. So again, it's easier to put weight on an animal that is not experiencing temperature stress. Their demands will increase significantly as it gets colder. So they'll have kind of this little happy place where they're at, but if they get wet or that wind chill kicks up, their demands can jump, 20, 30%, over those time periods where weather's poor.
Perfect. We want to make sure that if we build some type of break, we build it big enough to basically take care of most of your cattle, or? Right,
a windbreak, something to take that wind chill off is extremely important, and it can also be important for your water supplies too, to keep them from freezing. But giving them some sort of break from that weather can significantly reduce their demands as far as calories go going into winter.
Perfect. Tubs, we want to make sure Is this a good time of the year to start thinking about stocking up on tubs?
So a good way to do it is to again have that plan for cold weather. And so if we're going to start supplementing our cows, if we're starting to move in and feed that hay, having a little bit of time to do an actual test of the hay to see where you're at as far as protein goes and as far as total digestible nutrients, then you have a plan on how much you need to supplement. So you can plan to have a certain amount of hay, per head, and a certain amount of supplement per head that you'll need for the wintertime, and to always have extra on hand in case you get those short stints of weather where you're going to need to pull supplement out or you'll need to get to them in hard places. So.
And we've got cows and we've got heifers who could be calving coming into the fall, so we want to make sure that we're taking care of them.
Right, yeah, especially, what you forget about heifers, especially our first calf heifers, they're still growing themselves, so don't forget to feed them. A lot of times that old cow won't require as much, so, using your tools of managing those first calf ones that haven't had calves, and also using, their conditioner, how much pasture you got left to decide when to wean your calves is important too. Go ahead and pull those calves off early, and the cows will do a lot better on that pasture than the cows and calves combined.
And I always heard a story. You might want to, if you're going to feed in the buck, you might want to watch and make sure there's not some cows kicking those young heifers out.
Absolutely true. And so sometimes, that boss cow will certainly take over most of that, and then those heifers kind of leave them on the sideline there. So some ways to help with that are using products like tubs where, that cow can't sit there and guard it the whole time. So they always have the ability to get to a little something, or even separating the pens depending on age is also important. Hey, let's keep our heifers together here, and then we'll move our adult cows over here. That's also is a good strategy because you're going to want to feed them differently.
And we want to remind everybody that if you've got an automatic water, make sure that the electricity, there's nothing sticking out of the ground.
Yep.
Nothing worse than coming out and finding a cow laying in the middle of a pasture somewhere.
Now hopefully you've all wired those to code and you have your GCFI circuit, so it won't do that.
Exactly.
But it doesn't hurt to do a good check to make sure we don't have any wires that aren't where they should be, and to just make sure that all the components are working properly, and to have little backups on hand, valves and stuff like that for going into winter.
Perfect. HeyCow.com is all the information you need for house and home. So, watching Kansas Ag Report, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.